Welcome to the Rightful Owner Podcast. I'm Kamashay Pruitt, an accredited financial counselor and financial behavioral specialist, and I'm super passionate about helping Christian women in business reclaim their financial identity, heal their relationship with money, and steward wealth the kingdom way. Listen, this podcast is all about exposing the lies you believed about wealth and replacing them with biblical truth so you can stop shrinking and start walking fully in your assignment. If you're ready to own what God has already given you, let's begin. Whether you've been following me for a week or since I popped onto the social media scene back in 2016, you probably already know this truth. Money is a tool from God. It's a resource given to us by Him. Deuteronomy 8:18 tells us He gives us the power to get wealth. But here's what I want you to press into today. Time is also a resource from God. When we talk about time, we usually are focusing on the waiting period, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a spouse, waiting for opportunities. And yes, waiting is a part of the process. But time is more than just something we passively wait in. It's something we actively steward. Time reveals what we truly value. How we use our time tells God and others a lot about how we view God, ourselves, and the assignments He has entrusted to us. Let me shift your perspective here. Time is not just something to endure. It's a divine tool. And just like money, how we handle time reflects how seriously we take our stewardship role. Have you ever thought about this? There's actually a correlation between time and money. The way we treat one often mirrors how we treat the other. I remember blowing someone's mind when I said this. Do you double book yourself often? That might reflect how you overspend and overcommit financially, assuming you have more money than you actually do. If you're careless with your time, chances are you're careless with your money. The way you budget your schedule says a lot about the way you budget your resources. Now, let's even closer to home. Are you spending intentional time with the people who matter? Are you preparing for what you've been praying for? You've been praying to God for? Or are you wasting time stuck in a cycle, scrolling, comparing, ruminating? Listen, I know what it feels like to be stuck in what didn't happen. I know what it's like to grieve disappointment or carry pain caused by others. But here's the thing. Grieving is necessary, and we need to give time for grieving. But remaining stuck is a different thing. It is a choice to remain stuck. So I think it's important for us to get the healing that we need, allow God to heal us, go to therapy, have hard conversations so that we can move. Because sometimes we allow ourselves to grieve too long. And here's another thing I want you to think about, something that you may not even have considered. What if your financial breakthrough that you've been praying for is actually waiting on you? And I know we've heard that before, like, oh, it's waiting on me to steward my finances better. But it also could be waiting on you to be more intentional with your time. Some of us are waiting on someone else to move so we can finally move forward. But God has already given us permission. You're not waiting on a gatekeeper. You're waiting on your own alignment. I believe just as we'll give an account for the financial resources that we've been entrusted with, we'll also give an account for how we use our time. Because I think that the parable of the talents isn't just about money. It's about what we do with what God has given us. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. There is a time to rest, a time to build, a time to grieve, and a time to act." I remember before launching this podcast, I was in a season of rest and restoration, and it was necessary. But now I feel a shift. I see the opportunities that God is bringing to me, and they require for me to be in a faster pace season. So he's slowly, in such a gentleman way, moving me into a faster pace season. And because of the opportunities, because of the lessons that I've learned in the past, because of me being in the rest season, I know what I need to do to guard myself and prepare myself for this faster season. And we know what season that we're in when we abide in God. We become sensitive to those shifts. And I believe that some of you listening, you're fighting your current season because it doesn't look like what you expected. But can I challenge you? Stop resisting the season and start asking God, what is this time for? What is this season meant to teach me? What does obedience look like right now? You were not called to be run by time. You were called to steward time. You don't have to live in a constant state of rushing, reacting, and recovering. A part of being the rightful owner is owning your schedule, your priorities, and your pace. You need to discern what's urgent from what's internal. Boundaries are a form of stewardship. If your calendar is filled with everyone else's priorities, your calling will suffer. I think Jesus did a great job modeling this for us. He didn't heal everyone. He didn't say yes to every request. He prioritized prayer and he protected his purpose. You have permission to do the same, my friend. And let me close with this. God is not asking you to have more hours in a day. He's asking you to be faithful with the hours you do have. The mandate to steward wealth is the same for our time. The Bible says in Colossians 4:5, walk in wisdom towards outsiders, making the best use of the time. We don't get to keep time in savings. It's spent daily, but it can be spent wisely. Ask yourself, am I being faithful in this season? We don't get to keep time in savings. It's spent daily, but it can be spent wisely. Ask yourself, am I being faithful in this season? Am I preparing for what I've been praying for? Am I obeying the last thing God told me to do? Because your provision might be waiting on your movement, and your movement is waiting on your alignment. And for this week, our Courage to Own moment is I want you to take time to journal these questions, 3 questions. I want you to write it out. I want you to pray over it. So I want you to sit with God and I want you to ask, am I being intentional with the time you've given me? I want you to ask God, what season am I in? And lastly, what does obedience look like right now? Again, write it out, pray over it. Then make one decision this week that reflects alignment. I want to share something really quick with you. A decision that I made about a little over 2 months ago was to get off of Facebook. And I got off of Facebook because I've been knowing this for a while, but I started to realize how much of a distraction it was for me. And how the enemy was using it in multiple ways to keep me, distracted from my purpose. And so I decided one morning just to shut it down. And I shut it down. I deleted the app off of my phone. I deleted the Messenger app off of my devices, except for my iPad. And I kept it there just because I didn't tell anyone I was leaving Facebook. But I still didn't check the messages for a really long time because I felt like I needed to purge. And if you are a business owner and your business is primarily online, you understand how this was a big decision for me, like to not be on Facebook. And quite honestly, I would say when I thought about it, I've never gotten any business off of Facebook. If I did, I might have gotten like speaking opportunities, but nothing major. I never got like an individual client or anything like that off of Facebook, other than when I've done like, challenges or whatever that was hosted on Facebook, but never someone just fall into my inbox and was like, hey, I want to work with you. But I also just felt like God was telling me to make this move. And so I did. And it's been about 2.5 months since I've been on Facebook. And I'm sure I have hundreds, maybe thousands of messages of unread notifications on my Facebook. But because of my obedience, it made room and space to start this podcast. Literally, within minutes of me making up my mind that I was getting off of Facebook and removing the app from my phone, I then proceed to get ready to go for my daily walk. And as I was walking outside and I was turning off of my street onto the street I normally walk on, I heard God tell me to start this podcast. And I would not have had the time or the space to even do this podcast if I was still stuck in the social media cycle of posting and doing all the things. And I was willing to step out and do something different and start a podcast and use it as a way to connect with you on a weekly basis, but also use it as a way to just tell more people about who I am and what I do. And I really enjoy it. And I really am helpful or grateful for this shift that God has made in my life. And so all that to say, my friend, you are a rightful owner, and rightful owners don't waste time. They steward it. Until next time, walk boldly, steward well, and see you. Thank you so much for listening to the Rightful Owner Podcast. If this has blessed you at all, please subscribe and share. And I want to invite you personally to come join me in the Rightful Owner community on Patreon, where I would love to dive deeper into this episode with you. And remember, James 1:22 says, don't just be a hearer of the word, but be a doer. Until next time, walk boldly and steward well. See ya.